Wildfires are raging in Southern California right now. The fire department was defunded over $20 million, and that money was given to the police department. There weren't enough firefighters to fight this fire. Not only that, but people lost everything in the fires because they only had a few moments to gather things to leave, and the insurance companies that they had been paying to cover their fire insurance had dropped them months prior. Yes, you heard me right. Insurance companies dropped the people who had been paying into their company for fire insurance for decades because it was too risky. Isn't that exactly why people get insurance? Because there's a risk? State Farm, Allstate, and Farmers Insurance all dropped policyholders in Southern California for fire insurance just months prior to the wildfires, which, might I remind you, are currently still raging. So let's look at the CEOs of these companies, shall we? First, let's start with State Farm. Michael Tipsord. He's been CEO of the company for over a decade, and he's been making a lot of money from people buying insurance for coverage for possible disasters. I'm talking $24.5 million on his paycheck in 2022. It's actually been going up every year since he's been the CEO of the company. He made $10 million in 2019, $20 million in 2020, which is double than the year prior. Then by 2021, he had 24.5 million. So if we're still going at this rate, we don't have 2024 stats, but you can pretty much tell it's going to be over 30 million in 2024 that this man is taking home in his paycheck. I want to point out that it says his bonus was tied to the 3-year performance from 2019 to 2021. So that means that the insurance company was selling a lot of policies and guaranteeing people insurance coverage. And then they can just pull out and not cover people anymore who have been paying into the company for insurance and smile like this when he's making $24 million on his paycheck. Let's look at the Allstate CEO. That would be Thomas J. Wilson. He pulled out of Southern California as well for fire insurance coverage. Guess how much Thomas made on his paycheck? $16.487 million. Well, his salary is only $1.3 million, and then he received over 100% more than that. I think that's like 150% more in bonuses because the company was doing so well, selling insurance. And the stocks were doing well also. This is like over 200% more than his actual salary. It just keeps adding on because they're selling so many policies and then pulling out right before wildfire season. You know, after those people paid for their policies and put money in his pocket. Here's a breakdown of his pay. His base pay is $1.385 million and the bonuses were over $2 million. It just keeps going. That's how much he made in just 1 year. The last company who pulled out was Farmers Insurance, and that CEO is Raul Vargas. He only made $3 million, but again, that doesn't include the bonuses. In fact, he just took over as CEO, so it's not really recorded what he's made so far, but his predecessor made 65% more than him in the previous year. So you can only imagine how much he's actually making. It's gonna be a lot. By the way, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up right now and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely comment as well. And again, it's not just rich celebrities who are losing their homes. It's regular people. Regular people live in LA too. And it's really expensive to live there. A lot of these people didn't have insurance. A lot of these people didn't have money. Now they're on the streets. Celebrity or not, the sadness is palpable.
Well, we ended up losing our house in the fire, and thank God we are safe. So thank you to everyone who's checking. Thank you for all your prayers. Thank you for your thoughts. Yeah.
Hi.
No words.
So I am evacuating my home. And it's so hard to leave the podcast studio behind. I know that's sounds insane, but I have everything, like my son's birth certificate, but just to leave all this, podcast studio is such a big deal to me because it connected me to so many of you guys. And just to give you an idea, this is the podcast studio, and then
That's about to
I
go
don't
up
know
in
if you can
flames.
see.
That's about to go up in flames, and she has to leave.
So it's pretty close,
It's on its way.
I don't know what I'm gonna lose, but it's like weirdly, like you really find out what matters to you when you have to evacuate. I'm not taking the cameras. I'm just like taking little trinkets and like stuff that you guys gave me at shows, and
I mean, when we say that people lost everything, they lost everything. Nothing was covered. It all goes up in flames. This real estate is crazy expensive, and it just burned up. These people have nothing, literally nothing. This is Karen Bass, the disgraced mayor of Los Angeles. She is responsible for all of the budget cuts to the fire department. She also had an expensive overseas trip that she just came back from that they're speculating is on the taxpayers' dime. The taxpayers that are now fleeing from the worst wildfire in Southern Californian history. A lot of the fires could have been contained if it weren't for budget cuts. Actually, the LA fire chief warned last month that budget cuts would affect response to large-scale emergencies. And that was last month that he said this in the media. They cut $17.8 million from the fire department and gave it to the police department. The same police department that was caught here on camera giving tickets to people who had fled and left their cars behind. Yeah, so you see where it says police right here? This is someone who's paid with the money that the fire department just got budget cuts from to put tickets on the cars to get more money for the police department because the fire department wasn't paid enough to help these people not have to flee and leave their cars. So you see how this is like a round and round we go thing? And every step of the way, someone is greedy enough to just keep stealing from the people. And let's be honest, it's Karen's fault. And her name is Karen, actually. Like, for real, this is real life. Firefighters aren't going to be paid. They're not going to work. They're not going to put their lives at risk. So who's taking over the firefighters' job in the now burning city of Los Angeles? Prisoners. Yeah, prisoners make up nearly a third of the firefighters fighting in Los Angeles right now. These prisoners are not being paid anything. They're using prisoners as slaves. I can make a whole video about just the United States prison system. People in the United States know that it's all for profit, and that's why we are the most incarcerated country in the entire planet. People outside of the States, if you're a viewer of mine, you don't really understand that they are using our inmates as free slave labor. I mean, that's why they keep a lot of people in prison. That is one of the reasons why they incarcerate so many people, is to use them as slaves. But they're not trained to fight fires. They're just using them as disposable bodies to fight these fires, all while boosting police budgets so that they can commit more crimes against the people who are already suffering. I'm just wondering, American people, when are we going to say when? Honestly, have we forgotten the nature of the hierarchy here? This is supposed to be our servant. This is a public servant that is paid from our tax dollars. Why are we doing what she says? It's supposed to be the other way around. We're the boss. And these people work for us too, and they're paid from our tax dollars. Why are we listening to what they say? We're the boss. Why are we letting them do things like this to us, to our fellow Americans? Why are we allowing them to use our fellow Americans as slaves, paying them nothing to fight these fires because they want to cut those budgets? And you know, a lot of these people that go into prison, they didn't really do anything to be there like that. A lot of them are people who just had drug problems, and they keep them in prison. I mean, they're not releasing violent people out to fight these fires outside of the prison. They're using people who had drug problems and like minor discrepancies, you know? It's only the first week of 2025. I personally think we need to all act now, because tomorrow it's gonna be you. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I want to hear everything. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.